So my name is Lisa McCoon, and I am the PAWS Program Director under the Family and Children First Council in Butler County. I support a program called PAWS. We support families who have children with disabilities, and we do that in a variety of ways. We have education and events. We resource them, but I like to tell people we're in the business of selling hope to a really isolated group of people. PAWS is a support for families who have children with disabilities, and we just provide a lot of those things that families truly need: rest, support, connection, and fun. And we listen to our family stories. We ask them what it is that they're feeling, that they're needing, and just give them some space to tell their story. And then we connect them with resources that will strengthen their family. It's tangible, the energy that's in the room. And if you hear the story about how God wove this program to be, you become able to understand it. It's just so much more. So I got involved with PAWS when I was on staff at Center Pointe. The PAWS team had approached me about hosting a respite night here. I actually had two kiddos who are diagnosed with special needs, one with some severe medical issues, and then my 7-year-old is diagnosed with several mental health disorders. And I was interested in it. I was interested in giving families a break, and so I said yes. At the time, I was comfortable where I was happy with the job I was doing, and just kind of put it to the side. God laid on my heart that it was something I needed to pursue, but I was really good at arguing with him. That fall, or that spring, we had gone down to the Orange Conference. I was sitting there, Andy Stanley was speaking, and he was talking about the story of Nehemiah. And he said, the thing that makes that story worth telling is that when Nehemiah's heart was broken, he listened. I remember in that moment feeling like God was saying to me, you're going to want to tune into this next part. He went on to say, behind every breakthrough and movement is a brokenhearted leader who doesn't feel qualified to solve a problem they think they can't do anything about. That was God saying, you need to step out of comfortable and you need to go into this with me. So PAWS does a lot of different things to support families. I remember a recent Parents' Night Out, there was a little boy sitting in a corner with his buddy, and they were having a pretty intense conversation, and so one of my staff went over just to kind of check it out and make sure everything was okay. And he's a 10-year-old that had autism, and he was just having so much trouble understanding why the people in the room were there if they weren't getting paid. Because in his world, in his social service world, there were a lot of professionals that came to his house. There was always a paycheck behind it. And so he just felt like, I'm not quite grasping why these people are here. Why would you do that? Why would you be here if you don't get paid to do that? God showed up in such a big way for us to be able to say to that little boy, nobody in this room is getting paid. And we're here because we choose to be here. And we're here because we want to be here. And you're worthy of that. We have families who are dropping their kids off for the first time in 10 years. They've never left their children with anyone, and they're going out on a date as husband and wife for the first time in 10 years. I know we had a family from Center Pointe who said, this is the first time that my son's gotten invited to actually do something. It is so much more than what you see when you come in a room. You see people sitting at a table and enjoying dinner and getting some entertainment and some education that's provided by Thrive Point. But what you don't see are the connections being made. You don't see, the mom that sat at her kitchen table through tears and was timid and said, I have no one. And at the end of the day, I just want one person that I can call and say, today's been really tough. They're gaining that there. They're gaining connections and community and building that natural support system, and they don't have to do it alone. There's something extraordinary that happens when you can put people in a room who understand each other and who get it. So one of the biggest stories of redemption that we've seen actually involves a family from Center Pointe, the Rayfords. That particular night, her buddy canceled at the last minute, and we had a volunteer, Dorothy, who had said to us, anytime you have a last minute need, just call me. And so Dorothy showed up and partnered with Krista. And if you don't know Krista, she is a kiddo with cerebral palsy and is nonverbal. But Dorothy and her, they made a connection right away. And every single month, Dorothy showed up to be her buddy. And the Rayfords, a couple years later, had an unexpected death in the family. They never left Krista with anyone, and so they wanted to call Dorothy and see if Dorothy would be willing to step in. Dorothy said to her, "I am so glad you asked me, and I want you to ask me again, but I can't this time." And what they didn't know was that Dorothy's daughter had overdosed on heroin and died after experimenting with it for the first time. The Rayfords felt like it was appropriate to take Krista to the visitation and be there to support Dorothy. I remember Dorothy saying how she was numb and overwhelmed all at the same time, but that she had looked up and saw Krista come into the room and her knees just buckled. She later said to me, I felt like I came in and I saved Krista that first night of Parents' Night Out, but what I didn't realize is that several years later, Krista would be saving me. There's amazing things that happen, not only to our families. What we didn't expect is that it would be there with our volunteers as well. The cool thing about Pause is that there's so many different avenues to get plugged in. If you want to be a buddy to a kid with special needs, there's that opportunity. If you want to be a host at the registration table that just greets families with a smile and welcomes them. If you want to give financially, there's that opportunity. As a nonprofit, that's a huge need of ours. But the great thing is that the community is full of people that are skilled and talented and have passions for so many different things. And we have families who need all of those things. And so if you're gifted in photography, we would love that. If you are skilled at organization, we have families who need that. If you have tangible goods that you can donate to meet some of the needs of our families, we can use that. And so really there isn't anything that we're not willing to partner with you over. And I think that makes Pause pretty unique. In just a little over 3 years, we've been able to reach over 1,000 volunteers and families. We've grown over 1,025% with the resources that God has given us so far. And I'm just excited to see where He takes us next.